Welcome back to the Undefeated Show, Defining Moments podcast, located here in Project 3810, the house that Kyle Golding has built with the founder, the CEO of Cord Construction, spelled C-O-R-D, and the man behind Sooner Suits on Twitter, Bryce Thompson.
Hey,
welcome to the podcast.
Absolutely, buddy. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. We're going to start with a little swag for you. You don't have to open it now.
Oh, yeah. Sweet. Yeah, awesome.
Brother.
Love it.
Yeah.
Can never get too much of this, right? Love it. Thank you.
Absolutely,
appreciate you,
man. Flashback to September 2021.
Okay.
Saw a few of your tweets blasted on Twitter about OU football and suits.
Right.
And we'll get to that in a little bit. But let's talk about your day. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. It's been a little crazy day running around in the middle of trying to open a new business here in a few weeks. So it's always hectic. So I might be a little frantic while we're talking, but I'll settle in. But no, it's good, man. No complaints, man. Healthy family, sun's out, and I'm healthy. So no complaints.
Yep. Your wife?
Yeah, my wife, Kristen, high school sweetheart, love her to death. She's also running for state senate, District 22. So folded that into our crazy lives of 3 kids and multiple businesses. So that's also keeping her and I very, very busy as well.
You said Senate, District 22?
Yeah, state senate, District 22.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we can get on the show to talk about why she wants to run, but can you give us a sneak peek on why she's running?
Yeah, absolutely. It was never in our plan, ever. I never in my wildest dreams would I ever thought we'd do this. And, when COVID hit, we have 3 kids, 2 of them in public schools. And so when COVID hit, like a lot of parents out there, right, it kind of opened up some eyes, just to some education issues in Oklahoma that so she started getting more involved in schools, and then that kind of led to some relationships, and she met people that way. And then after a while of everybody going, man, we think you should run for public service, we kind of thought it'd be school board. But after just after months and months of talking about it and chewing on it and praying about it, we kind of just settled in like, hey, I think this is the right fit. I think she could do some really good things for the state, specifically with education.
Sure.
She's become very, very passionate about that and very knowledgeable about it. So we threw our hat in the ring. Let's see what happens.
That's great. It sounds like Congresswoman Stephanie Bryce, that's the path she took.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this was her old seat.
Oh, very nice. That's what I was like, man, I'm trying to put 2 and 2 together, and got a little 4, so we're good.
That's her old seat. Yeah. So.
Okay. New business. Can you talk about that, or are you still
absolutely.
on the down low?
Yeah. So I own Cord Construction. We're a commercial general contractor. That is 80% of my time, maybe 85. That's what I do. That's what I got my degree in. That's what I've done since high school. I love it. That's if you ask me what I do, that's what I do. I'm a contractor.
Yeah.
Several years ago, me and some buddies started a beer bar on the side up in Edmond called the Patriarch.
Yeah.
And so when that was just a side fun thing, never meant to be any more than that, and it's grown. So we're going to be opening our 4th location here in a few weeks in Bricktown. It's the old Tapworks building.
Nice.
And so we took that whole thing. It's 4 floors.
Wow.
It's big. It's the biggest thing I've ever taken on, and it's also the most stressful thing I've ever taken on. But we're almost across the finish line. So no, it's gonna be sweet. The joinery is the restaurant on the 1st floor. We did a golf simulator bar on the 2nd floor.
Nice.
So we got 5 golf sims that are sweet.
Wow.
And then the 3rd floor is private event space.
Man.
So yeah, it was a big undertaking. It's been the biggest challenge of my career, but I love it. It's been fun.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
It sounds like a business mindset. You're laser focused.
Yes.
Let's talk about Sooner and Suits, man. Your handle.
So how do I work this in? Of all these things in my life, why in the world did I decide to start some little Twitter deal? So that's how we met, which is cool. I think it's great. It's crazy that I'm even sitting here talking about it. It was always just kind of a fun little almost social experiment for me. And what it's become, recently, really, once Brent Venables announced they were going to be wearing suits, it like blew up. it was, and I was like, oh, a lot of people are actually paying attention. And so it's definitely got a lot more legs in the last few weeks than it had in the last few years, but which is fun. But it's for me, like, so take it back to the beginning. It's, I went to OU as a student, traveled to all the games, all that. Well, then once I graduated and I started watching games from home and not in the stands, I just noticed. Something I noticed randomly is, why is all, Alabama and Clemson and all these guys, their pictures they're wearing suits and we're in jerseys and pads. And it just, and for years I just would mention it, to friends when we're watching games or whatever. And then, man, that's crazy. Why don't we do that? We are a blue blood program. We are top tier, and all the other top tier programs are doing it. Well, that's just weird that we aren't. And so then within my group of buddies, it kind of became, Bryce wants us, wants the players to wear suits, and it just grew from there. And then, I don't know, a few years ago, probably about 3 years ago, randomly, I just was like, I'm gonna see if I can do something about it. And so I wrote a letter, knowing he would never read it, but I wrote a letter to Lincoln Riley, and I sent it to his assistant. And so I was like, hey, and her and I emailed back and forth. I was like, hey, I'd love for him to read this letter. And I just typed up a letter saying, hey, this is something I think we should do. Here's why. Like, just some of the things I've noticed. And then, of course, I'm like, hey, I'm not just the type of person that's going to complain about something and not give a solution. Sure. Like, hey, I'll raise the money. I'll do whatever I can do to help make it happen. I'm not just complaining. It's like, you got a million things to worry about, as the head coach of a program like OU. And so, I was hoping maybe somebody would reply. I knew he wouldn't. And then it turned into, I got some buddies that used to be players on the team or whatever, and they would go, oh, you need to get this guy. You need to talk. Head coaches, they're never going to do that. You need to get this guy or this guy. And so I kind of started learning the positions, not on the field, but like on the business side of the program, right? Like, and so then I started, okay, well then how do I get with these people? Like, how do I get a hold of these people? They're never going to, I don't even know how to get their emails. And so then that's when I was like, Twitter, like maybe that's the way to do it. And so that's when I started the little Sooners and Suits handle. And, and I really just did it to really just try to ping these people going, hey, we should do this. We need to do this. We need to do this. And then, and I was like, well, how do I do that? How do I make change, right? And not just like suits in a football program, right? Sure. But like in life. Yep. Like if you want to make real change, awareness is a big part of that. 100%. Like you got to get people to be aware that there even is a problem before you can fix it. And so I said, well, how am I going to get people to care about this? And so I thought, well, college fans are like statistic nerds. Like they love statistics. So I was like, all right, I'm going to build statistics. And so one morning during college game day, I'm sitting there probably drinking a mimosa and I'm like, I just sat down and I went through all Power 5 teams, and I just went to their roster website. What do they wear? They wear suits. They wear leather jackets. They wear polos, or they wear jerseys. Yeah. And I realized that 70%, this was in 2018, 70% of all Power 5 programs wore suits in their pictures. And when I saw that, then it got really fired up. Now I'm like, okay, I'm right. I'm like, I thought we should be doing this, but now 70% wore suits, and only when OU was the only program that took our pictures with jerseys and pads on. And I'm like, so not only are we not wearing suits, we are statistically the worst the worst dressed program, I should say, in our player pictures. So that's what I got fired up. So I built this stupid little spreadsheet, and I just try to create statistics out of it, and I would just tweet statistics, like, hey, this is why we should do this. And I just never got a whole lot of traction, and I'm blowing up Clark Stroud like nonstop because I was told he's the guy you need to get to. Yeah. And I was just never able to get a hold of him. Well then, and I've never been a huge social media guy, especially on Twitter. Yeah. But then I started following all OU people, right? Just looking for conversations to jump in or get involved in, to talk about this. And this was, and I would only really do this on Saturday mornings, like game day Saturday mornings. Yeah. I would go 6 months and never open it. It was just kind of my little mental escape, in the morning a little bit and have a little fun. But I started following all these OU people, and I realized I started learning a lot about OU football. just more than I ever have. I've never paid attention to recruits, or I've never been that type of fan.
Yeah.
I probably really am still not. Show me, I know when the first game is, I'm going to show up and have a blast, but I don't care about what 4-star we signed last week.
100%.
It's just like, I got businesses I'm doing. And so,
sure.
Anyway, but I started learning a lot. Well, then I started seeing, players are wearing suits on game days too. Man. And then that opened my eyes to a whole nother world. And then I started trying to pay attention to that more, which just led me down a whole nother rabbit hole. And so on and on and on for several years of not much traction and trying to just get people fired up about it. It finally kind of happened last few weeks.
Yeah, man.
It finally happened. It was I feel so weird saying it, but it was a crazy feeling when that happened. I was like,
I'm sure.
Finally, it's happening. Yeah. It felt good. Not like I had anything to do with it.
Yeah.
People were texting me like, I'm giving you all the credit. I'm like, I deserve none, but I will take all of it. That's fine.
Well, you started it and you put, number one, you put stats out there, the solutions. Mm-hmm. And I remember exactly where I was when I saw your post. I was taking the dogs to the dog park in downtown Oklahoma City. I was like, dude, he's right. We're kind of playing soft, so we need to look sharp, at least get the mindset going, like laser focused. Right. So I think for me personally, a nice suit, tie,
absolutely
goes a long way.
Oh, and there's so many sayings, look good, feel good, and all those kinds of things. Sure. And they're kind of cliche, but they're true, right? There's a reason they're cliche, because they're true. Yeah. And so, and that's a huge part of it. I think it does, again, right? Life in general, right? This is so much bigger than football. Like this is like in life, man. Like look good, feel good, take things seriously, like be intentional, right? Like with everything you do. And that, to me, that's a part of it. But another part of it too, and maybe honestly, if I'm being honest, probably even bigger part of it for me personally is for the players themselves. Yeah. I will say, like, NIL's changed some things for sure. But back when this started for me and what really became a passion of mine was like, man, I remember when I was in college, I went and bought one suit. It was like $150. I mean, and I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't afford a suit, and I had to. So the opportunity to provide a suit, a good suit for these young guys to have and to keep and to use beyond football, right? And so during all these rabbit trails I would go down, over the last several years, like one of them, and I'm pretty sure it's my pinned tweet, because like that's what started it, not started, but like that's a big part of when I started, was this story about a coach at Southern Miss, like about buying suits for his player, and he went out and got the money because the program he went out and did it. He took the initiative to find a way to buy these suits for the players, and it was geared towards, so they had suits for job interviews and just life after graduation. And I think I'm probably rambling a little bit, but that's why we're here, right? So like I think a part of it, it's really easy as college fans to fall into like this entertainment mindset, right? It's, you're entertaining me on a Saturday, and if it doesn't help us win, I don't care. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I love sports as much as the next guy. Sure. But I think there's a lot more to it than that. And I think this is one little way that a lot of programs, and not just football, every sport, can do for these athletes to help them in life beyond the field or court or whatever, is to like provide it and teach them how to tie a tie, and and teach them the rules, like the button rule and all these things that a lot of people don't understand until you get in this world. That's a huge part of it for me. And it's like, I've never really cared about, I've had people go, this doesn't matter, who cares on the field? And I'm like, I agree, this has nothing to do with winning and losing. I think it can I think the mentality of it can help, but I've always maintained the whole suit thing for me, it's a reflection of culture. Yeah. That's all it is. Yeah. Like, you got to have the culture, and that's just a reflection of that culture. Sure. You don't put on a suit and go win games. If it was that easy, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not. So to me, it's way more about off the field and instilling mindsets in these players as individuals, providing them knowledge and a suit to take beyond school. Yeah. Because everybody can name you every player that goes to the NFL. But what about the other huge mass majority of percentage of guys that don't go to the NFL?
That's the point.
Like
right?
that's the whole thing. Like, and I feel like people focus way too much on that part of things.
Yeah.
The how do we win and who's going to the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's fun. I get it. Do your thing.
Sure.
Like, but I'm more focused on like, what about the walk-on?
Yeah.
You know, that is not going to the NFL and is going to go get an insurance job when he graduates.
Sure.
He needs a suit.
Yeah.
Let's get him a suit.
Yep.
So that's a little more my heart behind it. So.
Man, I love it. I resonate with you on that mindset of suits and shirts, ties. I coached boys competitive soccer for a long time.
Okay.
And every Christmas I would take the guys out for Christmas dinner. We'd all meet up somewhere. Mm-hmm. I would make them wear a shirt and tie, shirt tucked in, or a bow tie. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't know how to tie it, I will help you.
Right.
But it was, I mean, to your point, it was great. They loved it. And also, turning back to Clark Stroud, the reason why you can't get a hold of him is because he was too busy making these videos on Twitter karaokeing to songs for whatever reason. I don't know, but that's probably why he can.
There's a lot of culture things that I'm glad are no longer here. And I think everybody's saying that now. Everybody's like, I never liked that guy. Now that they're all gone. But very few people probably have Twitter evidence of years of complaining about things. I've got that. So,
oh, man.
Anyway.
I never followed him. I never followed Lincoln Riley. I don't really follow any football players or coaches. I do follow Coach Stoops because I admire him.
Sure.
I followed Coach Venables for a long time because I definitely admire. When he was at 9.2 thousand followers, I was one of those 9.2. Now he's got like 50.
Yeah.
Still hasn't followed me back. Come on, Coach.
Yeah, I never did either. I never follow a bunch of sports people. Like that's, again, I love OU football as much as the next guy, but it doesn't consume my life year round. It just consumes my Saturdays during the season. And so, I've learned, I know more about OU football now than I ever have. Only because of all the people I follow now through Sooners and Suits, trying to spread awareness, and I'm like, just naturally I've absorbed a lot. So
OU Twitter is
it is a crazy world, man. And so, like 100% true story. During this crazy thing of the Sooners and Suits, I have been accused of being a racist. I had somebody accuse me of being a racist on Twitter. Because I wanted suits for the players. And I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like it's been a really good reminder that like no matter what you do in life, there are going to be people that are going to hate you for it.
Right.
Like they're going to find a way to complain and hate you for it. And it's been crazy, man. So yes, Twitter is a crazy world in general. I think OU football Twitter is way up there, I'd say.
Yeah. No.
So good and bad. I've met some really cool. Say met through Twitter, but like, there's been some cool people too, though, man. 100%. It's been interesting. Yeah. It's been a crazy social experiment.
Yeah. Do you know that OU women's basketball? She likes to dress business like on the sidelines because that's the way she coaches. She's like, this is a business, and I'm going to dress nice because I feel like $1 million when I do.
Right.
There's the men's basketball coach, I think at Texas A&M, I think their staff wears like a 3-piece suit.
Some do, yeah.
And they get roasted for it.
See, and that's, yes, yeah. And I came across a Twitter account, I can't remember what it's called, Hoops and Suits or something like that. And that's all they do, is he just tweets about basketball coaches wearing suits on the sidelines. And so I think there's more of it than people realize. And I'm probably biased, but I do feel like over the next few years, it's going to grow. So like it's been in football, at least statistically, it's been falling every year. I do think COVID was a huge part of that. I know way more. It's half embarrassing how much I've learned, like pay attention to all these player pictures because I have to go, I just remember, but like through the COVID years, last couple of years, a lot of teams just they didn't do suits that usually have, but I think they'll go back to it. I really do. Yeah. And I think I'm optimistic that it'll grow again for the players more than anything, like that's what I want. So now that the football team's got it, I was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, man, obviously I'm very excited, but I didn't get to like be the part of why it happened. Right. And so like, that's fine. That's just stupid and selfish of me. But I was kind of like, well, where do I go from here? And it's like, well, there's all these other athletes. Like it's Sooners in suits, not football players. Right. Sooners playing football in suits or whatever. And so so the other night I was like, well, maybe I should think about basketball.
Yep.
There are 358 Division I basketball programs. I'm like, all right, I ain't doing that. I can't go to 358 websites. But I did think like, man, let's take it. Let's try to see if we can build some momentum within the OU program. Let's go do it for basketball players and tennis players and golfers and everything.
Sooner in suits.
Somebody asked me the other day, what about the women? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not qualified to answer that question. But, as long as it's intentional and the players love it and it's something they can use after they graduate, then I'm all for it, man.
Business suits for women are nice, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very sharp.
Anyway.
I saw your tweet about OU men's basketball and Kansas men's basketball.
Yeah, Kansas does suits. Yeah. Yeah, they're very few basketball programs wear suits, I think, in player pictures at least. So, but yeah, no, Kansas does it. I mean, it's funny once you start paying attention.
Sure.
You really start to notice it, and it's a lot more common than people realize. Yeah. So then when you're not doing it, it feels weird.
In Europe, soccer is football, and the managers, that's what they call the coaches, the head coaches, they normally wear suits. They're all decked out. And every once in a while you get someone that wears a tracksuit and the fans hate it. They're like, I don't want a tracksuit manager. I want a manager
really?
Looks like the part.
I love that.
Yeah. So
I love that.
Yeah, man.
That's what we need more of.
So basketball. Let's talk about basketball. How are we going to get Coach Moser to get the guys in suits?
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm going back to day one. Just start blowing them up on Twitter. Yeah. Find the right people in the basketball program and start blowing them up on Twitter. Yeah. I think I did get some information the other day that I'm not supposed to say anything. Not that it's like super secretive, but for respect for other people. Yeah. I do think Castiglione is going to look at doing suits across. I do think football is going to get some conversations going that's going to roll in other sports. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, Joe C is probably one of the most best dressed.
That's what's crazy to me, right? I've always he's so good at it, man. And I'm like, and he does on the sidelines and everything.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm like, man, you could make this happen, the snap of a finger. Yeah. And everybody gets it. And anyway, so I do know that the OU program, obviously with Venables starting it, they're starting to look at doing some things, and I'm thinking and I'm optimistic it's going to get some momentum. Yeah. So we'll see. But until then, I'm going to act like it's not. I'm just going to start blowing people on Twitter.
I like it, man.
I don't know if it's going to work, but we got a few more followers now, so spread the word. I mean, it's just, again, it sounds cliche, but it's like awareness,
100% right.
That's all it is, But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've even thought about OSU, right? Because, if you remove the wins and losses on a football field from the heart behind it, which it is for me, and you're focused on the people, the players, right, the athletes, well, then everybody in the entire country should have it equally, right? Yeah. Why would I care about somebody as a person more just because they play for OU or OSU? Sure. At the end of the day, I want everybody to, right? And so it's like, so that's what I think it is. Like, man, let's get some OSU people fired up about this, and let's get some TU people fired. I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but with a limited capacity, obviously. But first and foremost, obviously, my heart's at OU. Yeah. But no, I mean, I want everybody to have it. I think every man should have one and learn it and have it. So it's like, this could become huge. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Does Oklahoma State football not have suits?
No, they do jerseys, man.
They do jerseys.
So in 2018, see,
I love it.
In 2018, half the team did letter jackets, which I thought was kind of cool, kind of that old school. Yeah, so Mizzou and OSU were the only two programs that did letter jackets in 2018, and they both quit now, and they don't want to do it anymore. So nobody does letter jackets anymore. So everybody's either jerseys, polos, or suits. But no, now granted, I only go back to 2018, but. Sure. No, OSU does jerseys. They haven't done anything else.
So we got hold of Coach Gundy or someone in the athletic department
last year or something. But yeah, they've never done suits.
Wow, man.
Right. It's like every program should do it, right? I mean, anyway, that's where my head goes.
Yeah, because thinking back to Alabama's coaches from way back, they wore suits. They had nice jackets and even the fedora hats. Really sharp now.
Yeah, I don't know many coaches that do it on football. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Yeah. But on the sidelines, they'll wear them into the stadiums with the players. Yeah. Right. Like Clemson's done that. So Air Force and Navy are my two favorite by far because they're obviously military formals. You're not going to beat that.
Yeah.
And Navy's the best because they put the American flag on the back. Navy player pictures are awesome. I cannot believe the Army does jerseys.
You said
that's crazy.
You tweeted
to me.
that too.
That's crazy to me. But aside from military schools, Clemson has, in my opinion, been the best over the last several years. I love the way they do it. Alabama and Georgia are probably 2 and 3, right? I mean, and Ohio State does really good suits on game days.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love the way Clemson does it. I'm hoping that's what OU does, where the suits are different. The players have free reign on what they get. Clemson is the only program that I can think off the top of my head that does that. Like you want guys will have blue suits, tan suits, black suits, bow ties, regular ties, different colored shirt, whatever you want, right? And I love that. I think that's cool. Like let the players do their thing, right? It doesn't have to be all match. If they all match, cool too. I mean, that's fine. But I've always loved the way Clemson does it.
Yeah, no, that's cool because it's kind of your identity with maybe a bow tie, different colors, whatever that might be, a shirt. And at
the end of the day too, right? It's easy for me to sit here and talk about doing all this blah blah blah. But these players are the ones got to get up and put them on and walk through crowds and so they need to enjoy it, and have fun with it. And I think being able to pick out your own stuff, I think is a big part of that.
Yeah.
There's an article I've been retweeting out lately at people when they ask. Like, I think it was in 18. There was an article about LSU and how they worked with a local tailor and they picked out their suits, and it became like a thing within their program. Yeah. Like this swagger that the players brought.
Sure.
And they loved it. Right, because people out there that think players won't like it, you're 100% wrong. Yeah. Like I've talked to former OU players that have told me we've been wanting to do this for a long time, and coaching won't let us do it. They won't do it for us. And so like players want it. There's no doubt about it in my mind. So letting them do it their way, I think, is also part of the fun, the swagger, all that. I think
I love it, man.
So.
What about the shoes, though? What kind of shoes do you think?
Man, I'll tell you, I wear boots with my suits. So again, I will defer. I will let you do your thing, man. Like whatever you want. I think, like I said, the freedom and the flexibility, I think it could be what makes it a lot of fun and not stuffy. Yeah. So, and plus, it's funny. I really am not that stylish. Like I'm pretty boring, like suits, and like I don't. So even sitting here talking about it, like I would say I'm probably not even qualified to talk about some of it, but I just know it's important for a man to have and to understand and to use. So
yeah, it's interesting because it goes back to the mindset, the mentality too. Because where I work, it went from shirt tails tucked in, nice shirt, button up, polos or something like that, to casual, untucked shirts, jeans all day, untucked. People wearing flip-flops, etc., looking sloppy, and I still wear shirt and ties. Yeah. Or sweaters, something like that.
There's something about it, and there just is. Like I'm putting on a suit tonight for an event we're going to for Kristen's deal, and I love it, man. Like I took my daughter on a daddy-daughter dance. I got a daughter; she's 11 years old. 2 weeks ago, we went to the daddy-daughter dance. Like. You put on a suit, it just feels different, and it's usually a sign of like important events. Yeah, and it just sets a tone, and I couldn't help but think, like, man, these players should have suits, and then they're gonna have daughters one day, and they're gonna take their daughters to a daddy-daughter dance. Sure, in a suit, like it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm a little too sentimental, but I think it's big.
No, that's awesome. I can tell on your passion. I can definitely see it in your face. So that's good. That's really good, man.
If I'm anything, I'm passionate about stuff. Yeah. So. Anyway.
What are a couple things that people don't know about Bryce?
Oh, man. I'm really not that stylish. Sitting here talking about all this. But no, I think, for me, at the end of the day, like, it's just a little Twitter account, it's just a business that I'm starting. It's just whatever. For me, everything I do, it boils down to the people, right? Like, so the bars and restaurants we own, the business, like it's called Community Through Beer. Like we want to build community and we just use beer to do it. Like at Cord Construction, our motto is people over projects. Like I want people to be first, not getting the next contractor project. And like, so like Sooners and Suits is the same thing for me, right? It's just, I care about the players. Like I want them as people, as individuals to benefit. And yeah, we can have fun with the suits and we can win games and we can debate stats and that's all fun. And I've enjoyed it a little bit, but like at the end of the day, the heart behind it, everything I do, business, family, obviously, my kids, my wife, like everything I really do. And that's probably why I'm passionate about this stuff, right? Because it's like, I'm not passionate. I know this sounds crazy. And like, again, I'm like, my disclaimer, like I love OU football. It's fun, but like, I'm not passionate about OU winning the next 5 national champions. Like, that'd be awesome. Cool. But like, that fades. You know, like what lasts is building people, building relationships, providing opportunities for people to learn, to grow. That's going to benefit them beyond, you know, working for me and my companies, beyond my kids living underneath my roof, or beyond players playing sports for college. You know, it's like, and that's what I love about Brent Venables, man. As soon as he was announced, I was like, suits next year, guarantee it. I knew it. Like, there's no way he wouldn't do it, because I've learned so much more about him recently, but I've always known like he was a good man first and foremost. And like when he announced the suit thing, you know, it was like it was long. It was a long, like 90-minute interview he did through Zoom with the press, and like there was like 12 questions or something, and they broke down that's where I got that little snippet of him announcing they're wearing suits. But like the longest the longest part that he talked about was about the soul mission that he's putting into OU, which is unbelievable. And like he talked for like 20 minutes about that, and he was more passionate about that than he was talking about the new coaches and talking about the recruits and talking about all these other like that's where his heart is. That's where his mission is. That's why he started Soul Mission, obviously. Like that's what I get excited about. Like I care more about that than anything else in the OU program right now. And I think this whole suit thing is like, you know, 1% of that, if that, right? But it's it falls into that category for me. It doesn't fall into the wins and losses or anything like that. That's all fun just to get people fired up and aware of it. But at the end of the day, it's so you ask what people don't know about me. I think that's what this is about for me. That's what everything I do is about for me. So that's how I'd answer that question.
No, that's awesome, because you talk about that all kind of falls into a culture. Right. So that's going to lead to my question. You're a CEO, a founder of your own company. How do you create a culture?
Man, I could talk for like 3 hours about this. And it's a well-timed question, because if I'm being honest, like I have been humbled in this department the last few months, just within my own companies. Like it's hard, man. It is so hard. It is culture in companies or sport programs, whatever you're talking about. It is really, really hard to build, and it's harder than I thought, and I'm not as good at it as I thought it was going to be. But what I'm learning is the first thing is genuine. Like you just got to be genuine, and you got to care about people. I mean, that's the first two big things for me. How that gets implemented into, you know, company processes and procedures and events and all those perks and all those things you do as a company. Like you could have free lunch every day in the coolest office, and you could have all the stuff, but if you don't like care about your people, they're gonna quit, man. Like that stuff only gets you so far. True. Right? Yep. Like attracting these recruits based on an NIL deal, that's the new big thing, right? Is like that's only going to get you so far. Yep. Yeah, you might get that one, but it's not going to build a foundation you can build on. Like, it's the same thing in football program. It's the same thing in companies. So it's like that's where I start, and then figuring out how to implement that well is where it's really been harder for me. Not because of my want to or desire, but because of time, man. When you're CEO, and it's like, especially me, right? I'm 100%, no partners, no nothing. When you're a sole proprietor, it's way harder, because I get distracted, man. I get chasing things. You know, I'm focused on, I got to keep things moving. I got to keep the business growing. I got to keep all the stress that comes with owning a business. It's really easy to get sucked down that and completely forget to like just check in on someone, man. And how you doing? You know, and so it's, like I said, I could about this for hours, but so how do you do that? It's, you got to care about people, you got to be genuine with people, and then you got to be intentional about making time to do it. And that's probably where I've failed lately. And so it's a very timely question. This has been a big subject for me lately, but you gotta be intentional about doing it, man.
Yeah.
And again, it's everything we're talking about. We met through Seniors in Suits, but it applies to business, it applies to marriage, it applies to being a parent, it applies to everything. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
It's you gotta apply it everywhere. So, yeah.
Wow. That's pretty. I feel like it was pretty deep, because I can tell that you're very passionate. Number one, you're very genuine as well. When we first met at Republic and had lunch, I could just feel their energy there.
Yeah.
I like to meet
Appreciate
people, and so you're a 100% genuine guy. I could see where sometimes maybe it gets overwhelming, but you talk about understanding and trying to get to know people. Man, I'll tell you this is through Twitter, you've reached out to people, and not only that, but you've done your research. You've come up with solutions on how to get something done, or what does it look like. And so hats off to you, man. Well done.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a never-ending journey for sure.
Yeah, no, it is. And no, I appreciate that. It's, I work a lot, and that's intentional. It's a season. We're very calculated as a family. We have very calculated goals. And so I give up a lot of personal things to accomplish business things until for the next 3 years. I have time frames. It's very intentional. But so Seniors in Suits was my little kind of just escape for a little bit, just kind of do something fun. And and it's been really cool. I've already met I've met a few other, just starting to meet some cool people, you know, and just have cool conversations, that this would never happen without that. And so for that, if nothing else, I'm grateful for that. So it's been worth it.
That's great, man. What do you think you would regret not doing in the next 5 years if you don't do it?
That's easy, is going as hard as I can. So I just turned 37 last week. So I've got a goal that I call it's 20 by 40. I want 20 sources of income by the time I turn 40.
Wow.
Which is a lot, right? And that was inspired by a book by Grant Cardone called 10X. And so everybody's like, oh man, I want to have a side income, a side thing. And I had that same thought years ago. And I was like, that would be 2 sources of income. I'm going to 10X it. And I'm gonna make it 20.
Man.
And then I'm gonna put a time frame on it. And I said by the time I'm 40. So I got 3 years left. And so I don't worry about money. Money is a result. I focus on the process of things. Yeah. So I have no financial goals. I have process goals. And I'm confident that the money will come.
That's great.
But that's not a goal of mine.
Yeah.
And so it's been really hard, especially the last 6 months. Again, this is a very timely question, because the last 6 months has been the hardest for me by far. This new business has been the hardest thing I've ever done.
Wow.
And stress wise, and I've learned a lot. I've grown from it, but I don't want to get to whatever age in the future and be like, what if, Gary Vee says it best, you got to fear regret more than failure.
Oh yeah.
And so that's a big one for me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know what I'm capable of doing. I don't know where I'll be in a certain amount of time, 5 years, but I know I'm going to work really hard and see what happens.
Yeah.
And know that whatever happens, it was a journey, and I learned a lot. It was fun, and it was crazy, and it was stressful. But it was all worth it, Yeah. And that's not just business, man. That's as a father and as a husband and everything else. So yeah, that'd be my answer. That's great, man. What are the top 3 books you recommend? Ooh, good question. I think 10X would be one. Mm-hmm. It's a little salesman-y for me, but the message I really took to heart. Obviously, I set big goals because of it, right? The premise is basically most people don't accomplish their goals because they underestimate how hard it's going to be. So 10X it puts you in the right mental state, and then you'll probably exceed your goals by doing so. So that's a really good one for me. I think a lot of people would say this, but I think Start With Why by Simon Sinek is one. It's very popular, obviously, but I think that one leads to a lot of other ones. So if you haven't done that one, I would highly suggest that one. And then a little one off the wall, I just restarted it. I do audiobooks mostly because I'm driving, but it was so much content, I had to listen to it again to feel like I absorbed it all. Yeah. But it's called Never Split the Difference. Oh. I love that book. Good book. I love that. Man, I went through it once and I was like, I don't feel like I got it all. I got to do it again. And obviously in business, the negotiating part of it is I really enjoyed. So I don't know, those are 3 off the top of my head.
Man,
I would quickly recommend.
That's awesome. What about podcasts?
Podcasts, I don't listen to a ton of podcasts. I would say, and it depends what kind of mood I'm into. So like I'll do, oh my gosh, what's his name? The guy, the Stoics, that talks about Stoics, lives down in Austin. I just completely spaced on his name. Anyway, he has a podcast called the Daily Stoic. Okay. That's really short and just calm, and kind of collect your thoughts. Yeah. So some mornings I like that.
That's cool.
Other mornings when I'm feeling like a big baby and stressed, I'll like fire up some Andy Frisella, and then that I can only take him so much, but like I agree with what he's saying typically.
Really? Yeah.
Business, yes, but like sometimes I'm like, I can't. It's too hardcore for me, and it sounds like I'm a big baby, but anyway. Honestly, those are probably like the 2, and of course this one, of course. I hadn't heard you before we've been on Twitter, but I've been listening. Yeah. So yeah, obviously, man, like anything that's business minded, right? It's just like circle the wagons and talk about life. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in that genre too, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. Man, how do you want to be remembered as Bryce?
That's a good question. I think that I loved my wife well, would be first. Like, first and foremost, my wife is like, everything else does not matter after her. And then obviously as a father, like, I just want to be remembered as somebody that loved people well. Whether that's through, like, obviously my family members, whether that's people that work for me, whether that's people I meet through Twitter and, jump on a podcast and build a relationship with. Like, I just want to love people well, and I fail at that a lot. And so, but I'm striving to get better at it. So, like, that would be it, for sure.
Man, dude, you keep at this. That's exactly how you're going to be remembered, dude.
Good. Well, I appreciate it.
Man, that's great. So how do people get in touch with you? Not your phone number, but Twitter, Instagram, email.
Sooners and Suits. Maybe. Yeah. It's funny. Like, again, this will show you how about it. I think the handle is Sooners Suits. Yeah. Right? Okay. Yeah. See, I always say Sooners in Suits because of the hashtag. But
I do too.
That's where it started, right? So, like, spread the word, right? If you believe in what we're talking about, like, let's make this happen countrywide.
Let's do it.
But yeah, I think that, I don't know. I guess Instagram, maybe?
What's your Instagram handle?
Bryce Thompson 42, I think.
All right, I'll search it.
Again, I'm disclosing like how much of a social media person. I don't post a lot, but when I do, it's thoughtful. I'm essentially creating a journal for my kids one day.
That's great.
That they can go back and read and hopefully learn something. And I've learned that writing helps. I'm a terrible writer. But I've learned that writing, I've started to enjoy it more, and it just helps me collect my thoughts. And so I just kind of use Instagram for that. So,
that's awesome, man.
If you need something built, call Cord. I'll build you whatever you want. Yeah, I guess. But yeah,
people over projects.
People over projects.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
I love it. I can't wait to just continue watching you on your journey and keep in touch with you. Yeah. And air this out to the world, man.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing too, man. Anybody that takes the time to do a podcast focused on these subjects, I respect. So thanks for having me. It's been fun. And you keep doing what you're doing too, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
Awesome.